Good morning, everybody. This is Cindy Morris here with BizFinder Local, and I'm here to talk to you today about secrets to stopping hackers before they trash your website. And my business partner, Christine, can't be here today, so it's just going to be you and me. So for those of you that don't know us, let me tell you a little bit about us, and then we'll get into our topic for today. So Christine and I are business owners. We've owned several businesses between us over the years. We also work with businesses to help them be found online. Both we do offline and online marketing with the idea toward helping businesses get found online and get more business. We are the founders and partners with BizFinder Local, and we spend at least several hours every week to stay current with the online and technology marketing changes that are going on, all the Facebook and Google and all that sort of stuff we keep up with so you don't have to. And together we have over 50 years of marketing and technology automation. Now today I'm going to be giving you an overview of why you need to protect your website and a few of the steps you can take right away to protect it. And in our next webinar we'll be going through all of these steps step by step, and there will be even more things that I'm going to cover than I will be able to cover tonight. So let's get started. I have a couple of examples of don't let this be you as far as hackers go. This was an email that I got from a company that had been hacked 6 days ago before I got this, and they got into the domain registrar, which is where you buy your domain name, maybe GoDaddy or Namecheap or HostGator, and they essentially stole it. And fortunately, they were able to work on getting it back, but it is messy. It meant their site was down and lost credibility, thousands of dollars, lots of time. Lots of lost sales. Here's another one that came up fairly recently. This was an internet marketer in the internet marketing space, and he's had someone illegally hack their servers and, again, their GoDaddy account, stole the domain, and they are working on getting it back. Now, there is a little bit of window of time if this happens to you, but it means that your site is down, that nobody can get to it, and they're probably getting who knows what kind of messages when they go to your site. So this was the entire Twitter conversation that this guy was having with people who knew him. He is very well known, as I said. And you can kind of just some highlights here is Gmail was hacked, took down the servers, GoDaddy account, transferring domain names. Again, got in the Gmail account, transferred domain names, took the server down, Gmail account hacked, money taken from PayPal. Then, this was really funny, he actually talked to the guy on Skype. So I hope it means they were able to catch him. He never did update us on it. $900 from PayPal. They got his personal login information for Gmail, GoDaddy, and PayPal. And from there, they started transferring the domains and trying to get back about $1,000 that he stole. Not to mention, they can never recapture the time and all. So this is another one here that recently happened to somebody that we know. They were hacked, and all of the sites that they were using, they had multiple domain names for their business, and they all got this lovely message when they came in the morning. And it turned out that this was from uploading a new theme, and even though they purchased it, it had malware in it. And so that was a big shock, and it turned out that they had done it several weeks before, and suddenly the thing had some sort of a timer on it, evidently, because a lot of people had it and the company did update the theme. But in the meantime, they had this to welcome all of their visitors to. And it also right here where it says just test your security, it actually really, it looked more so than this, that you could actually click on it and test your own security. But of course, if you ever see that, you definitely don't want to do that. But it wouldn't have taken you to a good place. And here's another one that Pinterest had to put out. Their help desk company, Zendesk, which is very well known in the internet marketing world, experienced a security breach. And so they, if you had put in any sort of a help desk request to Pinterest, then you could be, it was improperly accessed during Zendesk's security breach. And Pinterest does go on to say a few things that I'm also going to share with you tonight about passwords and protection. So, and then this one happened a little while back, a couple months ago, that LinkedIn had a security breach, and they've been sued for $5 million. That's certainly a lost, cost of defending themselves and whatever they might have to pay out. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about this one because, first of all, many of you may already have LinkedIn, but you may be thinking, I didn't get an email from them, or I don't even have LinkedIn. This doesn't really affect me. But I want to tell you to guess again on that, because one of the reasons that hackers and thieves break into sites like LinkedIn that don't really offer them any monetary return, like PayPal, is because they're building their password database. Now, think about your passwords. Are they your kid's name, your favorite teacher, your pet's name, your anniversary, your birthday? That's what a lot of us use. We have some combination of the things that are easy for us to remember. And so now they have harvested all of these emails, and what they'll do is just start having their little robots start banging away at your passwords. And there's a good chance that your password may be similar to someone else's, and boom, your site is hacked. And we'll talk about this more a little bit later. So your business is vulnerable to hackers. It's just like car repairs and computer repairs. It's more not a question of if, but when. And the other things that are really vulnerable are your computer, your website, your Gmail, your PayPal, your Facebook, and more. And we're going to talk a little bit about those. And we can't guarantee, and you can't guarantee, that you'll always be protected, but there are certainly some steps that you can take to protect all of these valuable assets, way more valuable than even losing your wallet these days, since so much of our stuff is online. Okay, so what can hackers do to your website? Well, they can steal your money. They can transfer your domain. We saw that in one of the examples where the business lost over $1,000. Now, that wasn't from their website, but it was from their PayPal account. And once they have your login, if you're using all the same passwords, it's really easy to get into everything that you've got. And it's a good thing this company realized that their domain had been stolen, because the longer it goes on, the harder it is to get back. And there is a short window when the transfer could be stopped. And hackers can deface your website with offensive messages, politically offensive, and all the other offensive messages that we can think of. Leave personal messages about you on the home page. We knew a woman who was in an abusive relationship, and the ex-husband did some pretty bad trashing on her website. And of course, these are the first thing that your customers are going to see and your prospects when they arrive at your website. The other thing is that hackers can redirect your visitors to other websites, and that's what inevitably would have happened on that red and black one. It wouldn't have gone to a good place like Facebook or some other fun site. Probably went to something like adult content, some fake pharmaceutical site, or just a site where they would have been able to harvest information from their site. Maybe put a keyword logger on, a keystroke logger, and just really do some things that we don't, none of us want to have happen. Hackers can also install viruses and, like I said, keystroke loggers on your customer's computer if they access a site that has been set up to do that. They may offer a cool freebie to your customer, and they think they're downloading something useful, or they're clicking a link for more information, and boom, they've got some malware or virus or something on their computer. This is really what big companies are really always afraid of, that they'll have some computer that's, kind of a rogue computer that gets access to their network, and there's some virus on it, and boom, it's into their bigger system. And so this is a big deal for large companies. And of course, if they have your customer's info, they can steal customer and personal info that you might have on your website. They could delete your entire website. They could get your passwords and lock you out of your accounts. And furthermore, if you're hacked, it could cause Google to label your website as dangerous and totally remove it from the search engines. And so if you spent a lot of time and money gaining position in the search engine rankings, this can just totally destroy all of your work. So we've all read the headlines from the Pentagon to the biggest banks in the country. Many, many of them have been hacked. And we want to see if we can protect you from a lot of that cost and bad publicity. So to your email, hackers can hack into it. We saw that in the previous examples with Gmail. Once they're into your email, they can steal passwords. A lot of us keep our passwords in our email accounts. They could steal company secrets or documents. They could steal your contact lists and start spamming them. And they can even just start stalking online and offline even the contacts that are in your email database. One of the things we do recommend is that if you have old Comcast, Hotmail, AOL, Yahoo, all of those kind of accounts that you're not using anymore, go in and close them. They're especially vulnerable because so many people have abandoned them. We also recommend that you use your own domain for your emails. You know, Christine and I use Cindy at BizFinderLocal or Christine at BizFinderLocal.com. It's way more professional than Comcast, Hotmail, AOL, or Yahoo, and you have way more credibility, and also you do have more layers of protection. We know a lot of people using Gmail, and Gmail has been quite accepted even for professional purposes. And I have a number of Gmail accounts, but mostly if you correspond with me, it will be with my BizFinderLocal.com email address. So let's talk about 6 steps that you can take to protect your online properties. So let's start with the basics. Change your passwords frequently. There are some companies, when I worked in corporate, that we had to change our passwords every single month, every 30 days. You couldn't use the 2 last passwords. You had to use various combinations of things. So change them frequently. Use secure usernames and passwords. And those would be ones that have capital letters and lowercase. They have numbers in them. They may have some symbols. Even putting a period in the middle of will definitely strengthen your password. A lot of sites now will tell you whether you have a strong password or not. You can also Google password generators, or we use LastPass password for our to keep track of our passwords, and they have a password generator that I use on a regular basis. You definitely want to use and update your antivirus software on your computer, and don't click on suspicious links. We've all seen them. Spammers will put stuff in your Facebook news feed. They'll put weird things in your inbox, encouraging you to click for special offers, games, even apps that don't exist. There was one app for Facebook that advertised a dislike button. Now, how many of us have wanted that? That would have been very attractive to many of us to be able to download a dislike button for Facebook. But it was spam. It was a virus thing. So really be careful about what you click on. And in Facebook, any link that takes you away from Facebook, Facebook will warn you on, and it's probably a good idea not to do that. So don't accept unknown friend requests. This is a very common thing that people do that are trying to get access to your personal information. Only add people you really know. There are things called social bots that it's a malware that really copies human beings on social sites. It creates fake profiles and requests friendship to gain access to your information. So if I get somebody that I don't know, I take a look and see how many posts they have. I see how many of my friends are their friends, and just really how active they are. If they look like a real person. Otherwise, I don't accept them. I will reject them, especially with the limit on how many friends you can have. Now, I'm not up that high, but I don't want to have people on there that, you know, I'm not really friends with. And then also just watch out for your friends. They may have been hacked. If you get suspicious or weird messages from your contacts, for example, if my mom were to send me some sexy photos, I would probably think she'd been hacked and give her a call and try to find out what was going on, because that's not the sort of thing my mom sends. So there are some places like that you can report things. For example, if you get something from PayPal that looks suspicious, you can forward it to spoof@paypal.com, and pretty soon they'll write back and tell you that, yeah, it probably wasn't a good one, and they're pretty good about that. Now, let's talk about protecting your website, and we're specifically going to talk about WordPress because it's the most popular content management system out there, and its default for when you install WordPress, the default administrative user is admin, just plain old admin, and everybody knows it that wants to hack your site. And so if you have a weak password along with admin, they only have to guess one piece of information. If you've got a strong username and a strong password, then it just phenomenally increases the amount of work they have to do to hack you. And that's what we're trying to do, is make it hard for them so they'll go bother somebody else who's a lot easier to hack. So using admin is really like keeping your key under the under your plant or under the mat near your front door. All the thieves know where to look for those kinds of things. So you can't change the username. What you have to do, and we'll show you how to do this in the step-by-step class, is you actually have to create a new user, give it administrative privileges, and then you'll have to log out and delete the old one. And that's a really important thing to do. Make sure that you do have a strong password, as I said, and each user should have their own username and password. And this is true for your website and some other things that enable you to do that, and I'll tell you about that more in a minute. But even if you have a person who's going to do something on your website for a day or two, give them their own username and password so that then you can go back and delete them without having to bother anybody else. We do this when we outsource things. We give each user their own username and password. And again, you can use LastPass Password Manager to generate strong passwords, and it will also remember them. And by the way, LastPass Password Manager is free. And of course, you don't want to use the same password for all of your users. I had an account the other day, and they basically had a keyword in their for their password, and I got a hold, and they gave me several of their usernames, and they were all using the same password. Not safe, doesn't do you any good. So we had another client who had a very easy password, and she used the same password on every single site she had. And so once they hacked that, they went in and they hacked a lot of her stuff, Facebook and LinkedIn and her website and all sorts of things. So you also, on WordPress, can give your users appropriate privileges. You don't have to make everyone an admin on your website, and you don't even want to. WordPress has 5 user levels with different privileges, and you should definitely use them. And then you're going to hear me say this frequently, but you want to back up your website and your other properties regularly. Now, your hosting company may back up your website for you unless your site is very large. If you have multiple domain names, you have a lot of images and different things like that, your site may actually be too large for your hosting company to back up. And so we really advise that you do your own backups in case you ever have any issues with your hosting company. And the other thing is, hosting companies may only back up once a week. They may not keep their backups more than a week. They may overwrite the backup, and so you only have the very latest one. If that one is bad, then you have no backup at all. But having your own backup that's readily available to you gives you a quick and easy way to get back online if you've been hacked. And we do offer backup services to our clients, and when we back up client sites, we back them up at least weekly, depending on how many changes they're making. If they're doing a lot of activity on it, then I will change it to back up more frequently. And then if we go in and make a lot of changes to the website, I automatically force a backup at that point so that I know that all the changes I've made are backed up. You can also, on your WordPress site, you can install audit tracking and change history plugins. Now, plugins are kind of like apps for your phone, and the audit tracking and change history ones let us trace back any unauthorized or even accidental changes were made. And this really isn't Big Brother. It's just plain good business sense. Many of you have loss prevention policies for cache and inventory and other intellectual property, and this is just all part of that loss prevention policies. You also want to make sure that you update your WordPress plugins on a regular basis. They change them frequently, just like the apps on your phone. They'll change them because they add more functionality to them, or they plug security holes, or if they find that they're conflicting with other plugins or with WordPress, then they'll change them. And if you have a lot of plugins on your site, which a lot of WordPress sites build up a lot of plugins over time, they do need to be updated on a regular basis. And you also want to make sure that you update your WordPress software. Now, as I mentioned before, WordPress is the most popular content management system platform for WordPress for websites today because it's so easy to work with. But it's also a nice big fat target for hackers. WordPress is very good about increasing security, and the software gets updated with big updates 3 to 4 times a year, but they may have smaller updates throughout the year if they find a security hole. And yes, I'm going to say back up your data regularly. Just like in real estate, we say back up, back up, back up. And another thing that you want to think about is direct mail and email scams. And I did mention a little bit about email scams earlier, but there are also direct mail scams regarding your website. There's one company called Domain Registry USA, and those are not necessary. They'll offer to renew your domain or add additional protection, and they're not doing you any favors. So you definitely don't want to do that. If you're not sure about an email or a mailing that you get like that, then give us a call or call your domain company or your hosting company. They're used to all of these. We've seen several at $65, and it usually hits you about 3 months before your registration comes due, and so it's the first notice that you have that your website is coming due, and it's before your domain registrar has a chance to send you the renewal notice. So if you get those and you're not sure, then give us a call. We've seen most of them, and we can take a look at them and tell you whether or not you need to do it. So another thing about protecting your website is as far as getting email. This was an email that I received just as I was creating this class. And there are a few red flags I want to point out to you. I don't know if you can catch them. But here's one. Right here, this was a red flag to me. I don't know what all those numbers are. eBizac4, don't recognize that. Initially, of course, it had talks about a Facebook message, so I thought maybe it was something important, but the brackets around the 2, that's not really something ordinary. And look over here, Facebook gifts at ggtmarketing.com. Doesn't match anything over here as far as the autoresponder. They are appealing to me, my greed here, to get a couple of gifts if I go to their Facebook wall. But notice that it says Facebook support team. Again, that's not something that Facebook does. And then these links here, they don't have any name to them. I don't know what I'm trying to get here. And so when I send out emails, I always am very specific about what people are going to get when they click there, not just gifts, a couple of gifts. So for me, this definitely wasn't enough information, and I just put this one in my spam folder. So let's talk about protecting your computer. You definitely want to install and update your antivirus software. You want to activate your computer's firewall. Some of these are contained in Windows, and of course we know Macs don't have as many problems, but as Macs have increased in their popularity, you know, they've become a bigger target as well. You want to keep track of your operating system events. There's a way to do that I'll show you in the other class. Make sure your operating system is up to date with patches and all, and also install patches for the operating system and for other programs. For example, Java is a big one right now that's got some vulnerabilities on it. Adobe Acrobat, a lot of programs, if they find they have any problems, they will give you patches for them, and you definitely want to download them. If you're not sure whether they're real, then go Google them, go to their site, and they'll tell you that they've installed patches. Okay, some other things that you might not have thought about is you want to secure your router with a password. And if you don't know how to do that, you can check with your internet service provider or your router manufacturer. I know a number of years back, I was one of the early adopters for broadband when many people still had dial-up, and come to find out our neighbors were stealing my bandwidth. When I started complaining about the speed, they were able to discover that the neighbors had hacked into my bandwidth. And if you don't secure your router, they can actually access your computers inside your home. You also want to change the login on your password. If you haven't done that in a long time, that's a good one to do. You can install anti-malware on your program. So there's viruses and malware and all sorts of things. This is a different program perhaps than what you have for virus checking. And so you want to check with the virus protection company that you have and find out if they have malware. I have a separate one for my computer. And I'm going to say it again, backup, backup, backup. You can use an external drive. You can use cloud backup systems. You can use something like Dropbox, which is the files aren't really backed up. They're duplicate copies. And so that way, if you missing a single file, it's easier to get it out of Dropbox. Plus, you can share files in Dropbox. So there's a lot of reasons to use Dropbox, but it does give you an extra copy as well as being on your hard drive, accessible from your hard drive. So quite a few things there to do. Now, let's talk about protecting your Gmail, because many people are using Gmail. There's a new thing that they have called double verification or two-step verification. And this is where you have to sign up for it. But Google, if you go to change your password, they'll send you a text message, or they'll send you an email message that you've changed a password. And it just gives you an extra layer of security. So every time you go to do something like that, it will send you a very quick text message and give you a code in the text message that you put into your Google. And that means that it's, someone would have to have both your phone and your Gmail login. You can enable HTTPS security. This one's kind of technical. We'll talk about that in the next class. You can also, on Gmail, you can check who you've given access to, and you can remove them. You can, there's an option also to mark conversation as read when opened by others. So if you start seeing that your mail is showing open and you know that you didn't, that's a really good red flag, big red flag. There's check filter, there's forwarding and pop IMAP features that are on Gmail that can help you with looking for suspicious filters and forwarding your email to make sure that you have no weird addresses in that. And again, we'll show you that on the next class. You can also revoke unauthorized users if you've given other people access through their own logins. You can revoke those. You can also track account activity in Gmail, which through an activity information panel, and that's another security feature that Google has built into Gmail. Now, on your Facebook, there's a lot of things that you can do as well. You can manage users. Just like on WordPress, you can have different levels of users. And this one's really important because if you give someone your login for your Facebook page, Facebook logs in with your personal. And so if you give them that login, they have access to your personal page as well as your business page. And there are different levels of users that you can assign to people depending on what they're doing for you on Facebook. You can also, there's an HTTPS browsing that you can turn on Facebook. You can have login approvals. So again, you need to have your cell phone available, and it will send you a text message with a code that you can place in. Now, the other thing that Facebook will do is if you've given out your main password and you sign in from 2 different areas of the country, they'll shut you down because they'll assume that you have been hacked by someone else in another part of the country. And that can also be all be handled with the managed users. Just give people access with their own personal page, personal profile logins, and they can manage your Facebook page. And you can also download Facebook security software. Zone Alarm has one that will notify you if your account gets hacked, and it has a free trial on that. You want to make sure, again, we can't say this too much on Facebook, is don't post personal information, particularly financial information, or there's plenty of information they can get, birthdays and anniversary days, children's names, pet names. We all like to use pet names for our passwords. And so those, again, are more reasons why you don't want to use that publicly personal information for your passwords. If you can, use different usernames and passwords for each of your different properties. So Twitter shouldn't have the same username and password as Facebook. Now, we know some of them all use emails and all, but do the best you can at separating them, and at least use different passwords for them. Don't use the same. Be careful on Facebook. A lot of times you'll be asked to give permission to various apps, and they'll tell you what they're supposed to be doing. You can go in and delete those if you're not using them, and just be careful about those because, depending on who's offering them up, they may they may not be secure. And then another thing that you can do on your browser is you can have an add-on, at least in Firefox, to log out of Facebook when you're not using. And you should ask everyone who's working on your Facebook account to log out of Facebook when they're not using it. Just makes it that much, one more step for somebody to have to go through if they're going to hack you. Now let's talk about protecting your passwords. We talked about some password managers. Again, we use LastPass. They have a free desktop version, and they have a very reasonable enterprise version, which is pretty technical to set up. But it does, what it does at the enterprise level, if you have a lot of people that are accessing properties, if you're outsourcing or having temporary people, is it will actually give the password out, but the person who's receiving it will not be able to see it. And you maintain control of that, so it's very easy to remove someone or remove them from some sites. Also, you can change passwords if you think that you've been compromised, and you can change them all from the administrative level, but no one is, out of the, being held up by not being able to get access to a password. The passwords are always available to them, but they can't see them. So that is a really good, and it's $24 per user per year. You can change users, and so it's a pretty reasonable protection there. Password Corral is another one that's free. RoboForm has some free versions. Some of these have paid versions. You can get more features if you want them. Again, don't use common names, birthdays, and do use a combination of caps and lowercase letters and numbers and symbols. Again, as I mentioned before, even putting a period or a comma in between, some of them will make them way more secure. And even if you are going to use common things so you can remember them, then put some caps in and some symbols in to make them more secure. So the most important thing you need to know is that you need to take control of your website security, all of your social media security. You're responsible for those digital assets. No one can protect you from an easy password or for making things too easy for hackers. Now, we have a lot of things that we do for our clients to make their sites more secure and make their passwords more secure, and we even have a program that we put on that will alert us if it's been hacked. We have some website security packages that we can talk to you about. So the most important thing here is to prevent people from easily accessing your site. Make it hard, just like you do at home, so that they'll go bother the neighbors down the street. They'll go bother some other website who's not been as proactive about protecting their website. So we do not want this to be you. We want you to have website, social media, and computer security. We don't want to see this sort of thing happen to you. And we also have some homework for you. And then we'll come back and take any questions that you might have. So the first thing that we would like you to do, that we highly recommend, is change your passwords. Make them secure. Change your WordPress admin. And again, you can do that by adding a new administrator and then signing in as that new administrator, and then deleting this one. You won't be able to delete it while you're signed on as admin. Back up your website and your computer, and make sure that your WordPress software and plugins are all up to date. Those are all things that are pretty easy for you to do. If you need more security than that, or you need some plugins and backup and that sort of thing installed, then please give us a call and we'll help you with that. So please join us by going to the website here, bizfinderlocal.com/businesswebinars, and find out about the upcoming webinars that we have. We do have the website security scheduled very shortly. And since this is evergreen, I don't want to give a date on that. But you can go to the website and you can see the other webinars that we have, and you can also see webinar replays are available from there as well, because we do record these and make them available after, for a long time. So thank you for being here today. We are glad that you came and joined us, and hope you learned a lot. And please come back again or give us a call. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.